don't think I do it.
Arsenal started like a house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Just Joe Football Show. Ironically, without your host, Joe Wayman. Where is Joe tonight? Welcome to the final word. Plenty to discuss. I'm joined tonight by Max from Leeds Lately. How are you doing, Max?
Good, thank you. Other than impending doom.
Yeah. Kate from Leeds Bird Rants. Good evening, Kate.
Hi, Luke. You all right?
Very well, thank you for asking. And with Rocco from Leeds That. How are we doing?
Hello, yeah, not too bad, all things considering.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to get into it a little bit more. Joe will be joining us, people. Don't switch off just yet. I do apologise for being a better looking host tonight. I know we've both got a similar look, but yeah, we've got loads to get into, and I'm sure Joe's got plenty to sort of dissect. You know, we'll probably get on to Gracia when he comes on, but start with Max then. Anything positive to take out of Monday night?
Sinisterra scored again. It's good that he's fit and that he might be the sort of player who can do a bit of a Rafinha job for us, or what Rafinha did last season. Sinisterra seems like the sort of player who you can, when he's fit, rely on to get a few goals and to just have that drive to go and get the ball. Because the way he actually scored that goal, I thought was really good, because obviously we'd gone 2-0 down. And when he nipped in and he got the ball and he chipped Allison, I thought, brilliant, we're back in this game. And obviously everything went wrong after then. But yeah, if I'm going to take any positive, I think it's just that Sinisterra got another goal. So hopefully that does a bit of good for his confidence going forward.
Yeah, just on Sinisterra, I mean, I've got my own feelings towards Sinisterra. I think he's the natural successor, shall we say, to Raf and his position, unfortunately being plagued with injuries so far. And just on his injuries then, he seemed to go off quite softly, Rocco, I felt Monday. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I felt like the game was beaten. He didn't really fancy it. I don't know. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely say that. He just took a shot and it was his standing leg, wasn't it, that he was complaining about, but there didn't seem to be any stretching or anything at all. So, yeah, there was really nothing in it. Yeah, I didn't really think about it, to be honest. But now you mention it, yeah, it could well be just a chance to get out of there. And I guess he's been carrying injuries pretty much all season, hasn't he? So maybe he's just thought, you know, what's the point of me being... let's go off and rest it up, because it was a bit of a funny one, really. I've never seen a player get injured like that. Do you know what I mean? There's always something. You can always see, you know, the boot sliding or a turn of the ankle or something. But yeah, there was nothing there, was there?
No, and as you said, then it's almost. I mean, there is somebody else that does remind me of that previously, and it was Pontus, who used to often think, you know, used to pretend he wasn't bothered, and well, I felt he wasn't anyway. Let's stick to our own points of view rather than actually in what he was doing. But he just didn't look like there was anything went wrong there. Like it was almost as if he was stood. He shot with his right foot, and then said his left leg was hurting. Kate, what are your thoughts on Sinisterra? Obviously, great to have him back in the side and playing well, but in terms of him going off, he might well be injured, and I'll eat my words. I'll eat a bit of humble pie if that is the case. But I don't know. I don't want another player like that in the squad, if I'm honest with you, regardless of how good they are.
Yeah, glass-footed. He's been described as, hasn't he?
Cinderella.
Yeah.
Maybe we should call him Cinderella.
Yeah.
Cinderella.
Cinderella.
Yeah. You got that one, Rocco. But yeah, you know, I know what you mean. Fragile, isn't it? It's fragility as well. You know, the same. We've been plagued with that all season, and we can't really afford it. I mean, he is really good. He scored, you know, what is it, 4 now, has he? Am I right in saying? Or
I think that was his
season? Pardon, was it his 5th?
I think so.
So, you know, I hope it isn't an injury. Do you think it is an injury, Matt? Luke, is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I didn't feel it would. I didn't feel there was a lot in it. If it's an injury,
No.
it didn't look, too sinister. There was no bad challenge. There was nothing for me anyway. I mean, it could have been cramp. He's only just coming back into regular football. There's a lot of possibilities. But I was just sort of picking up on what Max said about a positive to take out of Monday night was Sinisterra, but almost on the flip of that, if he's not really, and if he plays at the weekend, it suggests that he probably wasn't actually
really
that
injured. Yeah. I mean, I don't know really, mate. At the end of the day, I don't. At the end of the day, he might have, I don't know, lost, just wanted to get off like the rest of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. To be fair, if you've ever played any level of sport and you're getting absolutely battered like that, the first place you want to be is back in the pub and having a beer. Do you know what I mean? It's not nice. So, first half hour then, Rocco, we looked all right, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I honestly, I feel stupid for how positive I felt about the first half hour. I thought everything was going perfectly. The plan was perfect. Liverpool looked completely, they looked on the beach to me, and they were making mistakes and we were making chances. Rodrigo should have scored that header. There was other openings. I was really pleased. And then, but then obviously once the first goal goes in, it's just complete capitulation. And because I wasn't actually at the game, and I don't know if I'd have felt differently if I was there, seeing us be so passive. And I know when I was at the Brighton game, I hated that. I just hated that match. Even though we got a great result in the end, I sort of left the ground thinking we were going to finish bottom of the league. And that was an overreaction as well. But yeah, I thought it was going really well, and I had no problem with it. I said on the Leeds That podcast that's how you beat those teams, so I had no gripes with him setting up like that. But to be honest, since then that's not true, really. I don't like saying that because it goes against what we learned from Bielsa. I want to see us going in at these teams, and I've not seen how many tackles we put in the match, but I've seen that we've had no bookings and 6 fouls, and they made 600 odd passes. And I used to laugh at teams is that what it was? Yeah. So I used to laugh at teams 700, like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
869.
Oh, there you go. But who's splitting hairs?
Yeah. Well, how many passes per tackle? And in the Bielsa days, I used to look at those stats, and we used to put in a tackle every 8 passes. And now it's probably a tackle every 80. And I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But we can't just suddenly try and play like Bielsa. So I think that's where I was coming from, that, Gracia's, he's got his hands tied behind his back. So I don't mind us setting up like that. If that's what we've got to do to get through it, I don't really see a better option, because we're not going to suddenly just start playing Bielsa ball and doing it well.
No, completely agree. And I think for me, what I wanted to see and from Monday night was a reaction on the back of the Palace game. I wanted to see, something that's going to make me believe that actually we are going to stay up, and that there's enough within that squad, that the belief's there, that they're all willing to fight with each other. But you go into a home fixture against Liverpool and don't get a booking, that doesn't show the level. I mean, I don't want to see booking for booking's sake, but what I do want to see is people putting themselves about and actually trying to win the ball and actually show some fight for that squad. But I have to be honest, even in the first half an hour where we played all right, they still looked comfortable. They still looked like they were in control. We had a few. I think obviously the plan was obviously to get them on the break, and it worked. It worked for the first half an hour. I think we had 4 or 5 shots when they'd not even had a shot on target at that stage. So it was working. It was working.
To a point, it was working. We still didn't put away the chances we created, did we?
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't concede within the first half an hour, and so really we should expect that, shouldn't we? Really,
I think. Obviously, like you said, Rocco, about the way that Gracia set up against Brighton, and a lot of people in the crowd were getting angry about that because we weren't pressing and we looked like we were sitting back and sitting off. But then it's because of what we've been used to for the last 4 years-ish with Bielsa, and then even obviously Marsh's football wasn't good, but his team was a pressing team but when you actually look at other teams who they have success in the league, they don't go flying after every ball at the back. So it's like a viable way to play, but I think the players need to take a lot of responsibility now. Obviously, Jesse Marsh had his big flaws, but the players didn't necessarily do him any favors anyway. It was a contribution of both. And now Gracia, I think from what we've seen so far, before the Palace game, you'd say, okay, well, everything we've seen, he's a very competent manager. He doesn't have massive score lines until these 2 games. Doesn't have massive concessions. Everything looks pretty tight. We limit the amount of chances they have. And then the first half against Palace, I think, was the best I've seen us play this entire season. And the best half of football I've seen. We should have been 3 or 4-0 up. We were that good. And then in the second half, obviously, it completely crumbles. And the same thing against Liverpool. The fact that we can crumble like that has got to have something to do with the players. Because Gracia is not saying, right, you've played well in that first half. Go out in the second half and just open the door for them and let them score.
Just fold.
Yeah, it's got to be player based, that, because nothing that Gracia can say at half time could make us lose 6, concede 4 more goals in the second half. Do you know what I mean? Like he couldn't make a mistake that bad. Like, do you know what I mean? The players have got to take responsibility, and like you say, Sinisterra going off, probably just coward's way out. And a couple of other players as well who, like you say, not really putting tackles in, not really committing to every ball. And you start to think, like, have we got the players that will work hard enough to keep us up?
No, that's a great question, and sort of links into what what I was talking about last night on No Better. Was, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Kate, but I feel in both of those games we've played all right, and the tactics look like they're going to work certainly the first half. And I agree with what Max said there about Palace being arguably the best football we've played this season in the first half. Yeah. But going into those second halves and just pretty much collapsing, do you think that's we sort of determined that the common denominator last night might be the lack of leadership in the squad?
Yeah, I mean, I was chatting last night about the fact that, you know, there's so many factors at play, isn't there? You know, they're very young. You know, without Ayling or without Cooper in the team, they're very young. There's no real leadership in there. They, I don't feel as if they're invested enough in the club. They're not grabbing the matches by the kahunas and basically, you know, playing for their life.
It's after the watershed. You can use the bollocks word if you like.
I don't mind.
It's Joe's show anyway. Who cares if he gets cancelled?
Oh yeah. No, I just don't see the passion there. I don't think there's a lack of leadership. But then again, to Max's point, even if there was a leader on the pitch, would it change the fact that, you know, if we haven't got the quality there, you know, would it really make that much difference? I mean, Rasmus was horrendous, wasn't he? But Ayling's made a lot of mistakes. But then, yeah, of course they were. Of course they were. I'm not singling him out. I'm talking about just maybe defensively. Would it have helped to have Ayling on in his place with the amount of mistakes he's been making just because he's a, you know, he's a leader? There's a lot of abdicating responsibility going on as well when people are players are making mistakes. I don't know. I mean, I'd even go so far as to say the dressing room's kind of lost myself, but you know, that may be a bridge too far. But
yeah, it's the last thing you want at this stage of a season in a relegation battle, I think, Rocco. You know, players down in tools, so to speak. Because it certainly felt like that in the second half of both those games. Do you feel?
Massively, yeah. It is something that I was worried about right at the beginning of the season, that there's no one proven, like there's no proven Premiership player in our whole squad. You know, obviously players like Cooper and Ayling have played in the Premier League for 2 years, but they nearly got relegated last season, and then they lose Rafinha and Philip to 2 top quality players in the squad. And like, who are you left to turn to? Like, who's going to drag them out of it? Like, all of them are looking at each other And I do completely agree. I get the feeling that the dressing room is not in a good state at all, and that's not to do with the rumours about the bust up at half time against Palace or anything like that. I think it's just what you see on the pitch, capitulating like that, and and we've signed so many players, and they're all foreign players that come in. It's very difficult to expect them to have the same team spirit that, even last season when it was still very much predominantly a Bielsa squad, and they had their legacy to protect. Like, they don't have that anymore, and I think you see that.
I know.
I think ironically, one of the reasons that we have fallen apart over the last couple of games is because of two of this season's signings, which is a bit of a tongue twister. Tyler Adams and Max Wöber.
Yeah.
If Wöber was in the team, you just feel like we're a little bit more solid. We keep our heads a little bit more. We just never seem to. We never seem to be that bad with Wöber at the back. We never seem to fall apart and completely capitulate. We never seem to just let them go through. He's a sort of player who I can imagine him doing the same thing as what Pontus did against Villa when Bielsa was trying to let them score. Do you know what I mean? He's so competitive. He's so wanting to win every ball. And I just feel like I think we're a bit passive when we don't have Tyler Adams and Max Wöber in the team. When we have them in, they're the sort of player who Tyler Adams will go and smash someone, get the ball, smash someone and not get the ball. He doesn't give a shit. Just like he will go and put his body on the line and he'll go and get the ball. Max Wöber also goes and wins the ball. I feel like Strauch and Koch and some of our other centre-backs are a little bit more passive in that if there's a header coming, they might back off a little bit more, whereas Max Wöber is already in the air before they've even thought about whether they're going to go for it or not. And I think we've seen it before that Koch and Strauch don't work together. You need somebody who's a leader alongside one of those. And then I think Strauch becomes a better player. We've seen that Robin Koch has become a better player. And the last, just after Tyler Adams and Wöber got injured, I actually thought we were going to be okay because I think it was the Forest game might have been the first one without either of them. And McKennie had a really good game. And I thought if he can play like that every week, then we're not going to miss Adams as much, but there's no consistency there from him. And Tyler Adams has been so good that we're going to miss him massively. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference.
Yeah, there's not a lot I disagree with him there. And going back to what you said about the leadership, about missing the Max Wöber, we all identified those, I'm pretty sure, between us on this show, that the Max Wöber or the Tyler Adams are the future leaders of Leeds United if we stay up. We agreed that they're probably going to be the future captains, To miss both of those at the same time, would we have been better with Cooper in there?
I think so. I massively rate Cooper. I really do. I think he's one of our best defenders easily. Second to Wöber, really. I think I'd like to see, if Wöber's fit, which he must be now, I think I'd play him at left back, to be honest, on Saturday and bring in Cooper probably alongside Koch, because I do think Koch's been playing quite well. Again, it's insane saying that when they've conceded 11, but I have been impressed with him. So
without
maybe
Wöber, I think.
Yeah, and then nailing on the right, but difficult in it because you can see that all going wrong. But I think that's probably the safest option. And again, Firpo had a bit of a nightmare, but he's been playing well. So do you stick with him? Do you give him that vote of confidence? I just don't know. It's a tough spot.
Can I just say,
we do have options.
Go on, Kate.
Sorry. Somebody's just put in the chat that McKennie's playing out of position in defensive midfield. And, when you saw the way that, I know it was against whoever it was against, I can't remember that third-rate team that they played in the friendlies, but he was playing up front, wasn't he? And I don't know, I think that it doesn't seem comfortable in the position we're playing. He was he had a more attacking role.
He didn't play against, it wasn't his debut against Fulham.
No, I'm talking about in his friendly. In the international break when Aronson and McKennie went to play for the USA.
Yeah. On a marathon one.
I weren't following them. We've not all been on the Malbec tonight, Kate. You've got to have to sort of guide us through
I've
this.
had 2 sips, mate. No, but seriously, that is he seemed more comfortable in that role. I don't think he looks comfortable playing where he is. He's not scoring goals, and I think he needs to be scoring to sort of get his mojo back.
I think there's a player in McKennie. I don't think things are going well, and I don't think he likes it when things aren't going his way. I understand from this bloody idiot who's all over Twitter that when he signed for us, he was made certain promises from Jesse Marsh that he's going to be playing a number 8 box-to-box role. We'll facilitate that however need be, and the reality is that we haven't got space to play a number 8 box-to-box player because we're in a relegation battle. We're not in a position where we can decide that we can have a bit of a free role where he can go where he likes. We're playing with 2 pivots, and ultimately Adams is out injured, so he's had to come in and do his job. And I don't think he's done it very well. I'll be honest with you. I think he's only had 1 or 2 good games for us. Max, your thoughts on McKennie?
I think one of the issues comes as well is that, okay, let's say that everybody's fit, then McKennie would like to play a little bit further forward, maybe even in a number 10 role. But when you start to look at who we've got there, if everybody's fit, then you've got Sinisterra, Nonto, all players who you would pick over McKennie in that role, I think. So unless there's a role specifically made for him to be a number 8 box-to-box, which I don't think we have any other players who can really do that box-to-box midfield role. That's not a role in our team, though, and hasn't been for years.
Should it be, though? Should it be? Should we be, while we've got players out in the shape of Warber and Adams, should we be looking at maybe playing 5 at the back with two pivots, but one of the pivots actually being a little bit more freedom 8 to 8? I don't know what
more fluid.
Well, I think he's not afraid to change his formation or his system or his even team to team, game to game. He will change up what he's doing. So, and I think he's used a 3 at the back multiple times before in his career. And obviously, we could do that. And if Verber's fit, then you've got enough central defenders to actually play that way. And maybe, it does give Rocker sits in the middle, and maybe it gives McKennie a bit more license to get forward if we've got 3 at the back. So Rocker's got somebody behind him to protect him anyway. But he hasn't tried anything like that yet, really, has he? He's never tried us with a 3 at the back.
It's almost like the brakes and the reins are on, and he doesn't want to let it go. He has got one job, and that's to keep us in the Premier League. And
he's not doing it, though. He's not doing it, is he? Because I mean, look at, you say that he's not afraid to change teams up. He is, because he's waited until this week to get Ayling out and replace him, and who else didn't play, but Nonto again, bringing him on in like the 60th minute or whatever it was, or 65th minute. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, on Nonto, I have a feeling that was probably the right starting lineup for me, Kate. And I'll tell you're probably going to hate me for this, but the reason why I say that is because we expected to not have very much of the ball against Liverpool. We expect that, no matter we're home or away, and the style that we're playing, we expect not to have a lot of possession. Now,
right,
you put Nonto or Somerville in that team, and they do not work as hard defensively as Sinisterra. And hey, up! Here he is.
Sorry,
the boss is back.
Carry on, mate. I was really enjoying that. I was going to have my food like during, but I thought, you know what, I'm enjoying this. I'll sit back and eat my food while I listen.
We just touching on the reason, on the lineup, really, why I felt that Sinisterra and Harrison started over either of the other two in Nonto and Somerville is just their defensive work rate, and I think it's as straightforward as that for me.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. Yeah,
because Somerville has been criticised before for his tracking back, and that's one of the reasons why Ayling, in some games, obviously he has made a lot of mistakes. They're his own fault, but in some games, Ayling was getting killed because Somerville wasn't coming back and helping him out, so he was just up against 2 players on his own. And like you said before, Kate, like Rasmus had a terrible game, but do we bring Ayling in? Because he's also been bad. So like we've not really got players that are solid enough to step in and do a job. And it probably comes back to, I can't remember who it was one of the lads said about Premier League proven players. And we actually haven't got anyone in the entire squad, have we? Like sometimes you look at some teams and they just have like one or two who've done it. Like even Tyrone Mings at Aston Villa, he's been a Premier League player for, Robles has been on and off, hasn't he? But like even Tyrone Mings at Villa, he's not the greatest footballer in the world, is he? But he's been in the Premier League for the last God knows how many years now, across Bournemouth and now Villa. And so it's just having that experience of being in a relegation battle.
Exactly.
We've had it last season, but we scraped it by a pixie's dick. Like,
will we benefit from that, do you think, though? Because we've done it once, when we've still got a few of them in there that were here last year, and that's done it. Will we have an advantage over, say, Everton, over Forest, who's the first season, Bournemouth? I don't know. I feel we might.
Yeah, no, I do. I totally agree with you there as well, Luke. I know we're gonna batter their mentality as a group and having this soft underbelly, and everything that can go wrong does go wrong when we concede. But you can't get away from the fact that whenever we've been in the relegation zone, we've won that next game. You know, this is what I took a bit of flack in my post match because I said I'd rather Cooper Ayling and Click be on that pitch. They're the players that the last group. I know Click's not with us anymore, so I get me getting battered for that. But
he's not. He's still.
He's dead to me. No, he's not, right. But no, I just think I think back to that interview that Ayling did after Nottingham Forest in the Championship, and he looked on the floor, like literally. If you see even the color, he's got no color in his face. Like he looks done, and they came back from that. And I just think we need them on the football pitch. People say Cooper's not a leader. I hear it all the time. There is a reason why every single coach has made him captain of this football club. There is a reason that all the players look to him, and I think for me, Gracia obviously doesn't fancy him, or he's not 100%, but he played for Scotland and then was on our bench. So I know he was only off the bench. But
who does Gracia?
Yeah. So I just think for me, even if Vauber is fit, I don't care that they're both left-footed. I would have Cooper and Vauber at the back because I think we've blown far too much smoke up Strauch's ass, if I'm being totally honest. He's too weak. He's too weak. And Koch just blames everyone. Koch's half the player when he ain't got someone next to him who can marshal him a little bit. I think he throws his hands up a little bit too much. So I think there needs to be changes for Fulham at the weekend. I mean, me and Ollie discussed this last night. Could you play Vauber in the DM instead of Tyler Adams? Could you? Because I feel, and I said this to Ollie last night, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it, and girls, sorry. Every time we lost Calvin, we couldn't defend for Toffee. It's now transpired that we've lost Adams and we can't defend for Toffee. So clearly, instead of going out and buying wingers, Victor, get some bloody defenders, because without anyone protecting them, the porous, the poor. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I would advocate saying, do you know what? Stick Vauber in front of them and have Koch and Cooper behind him, and then McKennie and Rocker. I think we're missing a Calvin, a Tyler Adams type player in front of this back four, because McKennie and Rocker can't do it. So that would be because they're going to play with three behind a striker. They're going to have Andreas Pereira, who was at Man United, who's having a good season. They'll have Harry Wilson there.
Solomon.
You know, they'll cause problems if we don't have someone in front of that back four. Because I just have no faith in any of them defenders. I'm sorry. Then you hear...
I don't.
Go on. Sorry.
He played there. Vauber came on and played there in his debut, didn't he?
Yeah, and he did well, right?
He
did well. So, what your thoughts?
As well,
do we try that?
A holding midfielder doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on midfielder. In some systems, they drop between the two centre-backs, and when we're in defence, you can drop a bit deeper and create a three, in which you're probably be really good at that role, coming out a bit further to clear up the ball, like we were talking about just before you joined us, Joe. I imagine you were listening. about hesitancy and stuff with that. Some of our defenders, they don't go and get the ball. Yeah. But if you've got somebody like Verba in front of the defense who will go and get that ball, and if he doesn't get it, he's still got a line of defense behind him. And obviously, like you say, probably bring Cooper into that, because I don't trust Strauch and Koch to play together because they're both too passive. They need somebody to lead them, which, I mean, honestly, I think he needs to try something different, because we've 2 games in a row, the exact same thing has happened. So something is wrong.
Yeah, his tactics aren't working, whatever they are. I just don't think he's creative enough or risky enough. He doesn't, he seems...
See, I'm with you, Luke. Sorry, I'm taking thingy, but I'm with you. Like, this is on the players, because it worked for 30 minutes against Arsenal. We conceded a penalty, they went to shit. It worked. I agree with Max. We should have blitzed Crystal Palace in that first half. Blitzed them. We are terrible from set pieces. Again, that's the defence, because we've had 3 managers now coming in. We've been woeful at them under every manager. So again, them defenders cannot defend set pieces. We went to shit then. And then against Liverpool, we were playing well. We had like 6 shots and 2 on target. They had none. They weren't creating anything. And then Firpo, with that shocking touch, it might be on ball, but the touch is what's caused that situation. Yeah. Then McKennie gives it away, and they're all looking around at each other like that. That's not on them tactics. If they actually could stop errors, it'd be all right. Do you know what I mean?
So they're not good enough then, Joe, right?
They're not
the
good enough. Isn't good enough. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'd have to agree. I don't think we've got. Well, certainly not from the start. We haven't got the tactics wrong anyway. Whether we've not changed enough during a game is a different question.
I agree.
I think, but however, I think we've set up it certainly in the last. In fact, since Gracia's beer, I'd go as far as saying in every game we've set up for the right opposition. I would suggest, but
I think a lot of it on the players.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because, like we were saying before, like and like you've just said, he sets up in the right way, and you can tell that he sets up in the right way because we always have a good start to the games under Gracia. It seems to always start well and he seems to have gone with the right player. As the thing is as well, everybody before these 2 games, every game people have questioned a certain player in the lineup. Why is Nonto not starting? Why is Bamford starting over Rodrigo? All this sort of stuff. But then the game started and you've gone, okay, I'll trust him now because he's set us up well, and we've started every time well. And I think, like I was saying before, the players just need to take a big amount of responsibility now, because the manager cannot have said anything that drastic at halftime to suddenly make you concede in the Palace game both games actually 4 goals after halftime. There's nothing that he could say that could make the players just completely lose their minds, and unless he gave them all a lobotomy at halftime. Then
maybe he's not saying anything, Max. Maybe he's literally not saying enough.
I don't know.
Is he too passive? Is he too passive?
I think he's definitely passive. He's definitely not a Jesse Marsh type manager where he's going to be in there slapping asses and throwing water over him and that. He's not. You can see and they're professional footballers, Kate. They shouldn't realistically need that at half time. If we're set up and they've got a game plan that they've worked on all week, the players have to take some of this responsibility. Yeah, they should be embarrassed with themselves, to be quite frank.
And that's why he has to ring the changes.
They're not bothered enough about it to do anything when they come back out.
That's why I'd be quite happily see Adam Forshaw starting in there at the weekend.
Would you? Yeah.
I always think, forgotten about Forshaw, because he is actually a holding midfielder by trade. And like we said the other week, he does the simple things well. His 5-yard passing is on point. He will just pass it sideways and backwards and keep the ball. And sometimes you need somebody like that to keep you ticking over. But his lack of mobility is unbelievable. Like, somebody goes past him and they've scored and are back at the halfway line waiting for kickoff by the time he's made it back
Throw
to
him
the
and
box.
Cooper in together. Bloody hell, it's like...
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad footballer. He's quite a good technical player at passing the ball and stuff. But I think his lack of mobility is like the complete opposite to what Adams brought to the team. And I don't think Rocker is overly mobile as well. So maybe if you had Adams and Forshaw, that wouldn't be a bad combination because it would be the same as what Rocker's quite immobile, really. He's not quick. He's not getting there fast, is he? But I think both of them together, if you had that Fulham midfield's quite dynamic and quite quick, and I think we might get overrun.
Yeah. I think like you mentioned talking about Gracia, Luke, while I was listening at the start. Obviously, we were all pumped after Nottingham Forest. I almost feel sorry for him a little bit, if I'm being totally honest. I think a lot of it's on the players. Rock, I'll come to you. Like, I know you were a lot like me, saying I hadn't had an opportunity to speak about him. I really like him, and none of that's gone from me. But do you now think, having been on the receiving end of 2 spankings, first 6-0 loss, 6 goals conceded at Ellen Road in the top flight, etc. We know all the stats now. Is it a case of if we do stay up, the 49ers need to come in, they need to bring in their own man? And for me, I'd gut the squad. I don't think we can, but it does need gutting. But even if we stay up, have he not the man moving forward, Rocco?
It's a difficult question to answer now. If we stay up, there's a long time to go. There's a lot of matches to go. And give it a week, and we might all love him again. If we've beaten Fulham and Leicester, then everyone's saying give him the job. So it's a bit early to say. This has definitely damaged his hopes. But I'm like you. I feel sorry for him, and I do appreciate that it's his job to get the players together and get them working hard and doing the absolute minimum, the fundamentals that they're not doing at the moment. I don't blame him though. I just don't. I just think it's there's just a stench in the club, and it's not good. And we're just set up for failure from the top all the way down. They've just made catastrophic errors, and I just feel like he's swimming against the tide. I'm not saying that we're down. I think we can definitely still stay up. I think we're still more likely to stay up than the 3 teams below us. But it's just hard. It's hard, to see him capitulating like that.
Do you know what as well?
No one comes out of it well.
Yeah, there's a way in which you lose, and I think Cy Dykes hit the nail on the head here. It's like, even under Bielsa, when we got spanked, we still had to go. And do you remember people would go, "Oh, well, we've just conceded 6, Joe. Oh, but we had to go." And they would, trust me, I would rather them 6-0 thrashings and 7-2 drubbings than what we've seen over the last 2. I tell you that.
Yeah, well, the game started at the weekend, Joe, and I said we've set up comfortably well. This is 15-20 minutes into the game, but it's a hard watch. It was hard to watch. You just sit behind the ball. It's not what we're used to. Do you know what I mean? It's just so much. I mean, even under Jesse Marsh, we went at teams. Do you know what I mean? And I know it with the football was shy, and we didn't get results. I'm not using that as a get out of jail free card for what Jesse Marsh has done to us, because ultimately we're in the position in the table because of Jesse Marsh. So, but the style that we've been so accustomed with in terms of when we're not with the ball is to attack without the ball, and we're not doing any of that at the moment, which works against some sides. But when you're sitting off a team worth £500 million, it's not going to work.
I don't know though, Luke, because again, I come back to, I've said it, Liverpool got beat 3-0 by Wolves. They drew
Bournemouth
with Everton. Yeah, they got beat by Bournemouth. Yeah, but Bournemouth had a goal though, to be fair. Maybe you're right. I just think I don't know. It's just not acceptable. You get that, like, oh, it's Liverpool. And it's like, well, no one else down there's got beaten by them.
And hindsight's easy, innit? Hindsight's easy. To come off the back of a 6-1 loss and say we should have had a go for. If we're going to lose, we might as well have gone all guns blazing for 90 minutes.
But to come on the sorry to interrupt you, Luke. But to come on the back of 2 massive losses, isn't it? It's not just one. Our goal difference is halved. Our goal difference is halved in the space of a week, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's brutal, isn't it? Yeah.
I do think that
I'm just watching Borough play Hull, and the hunger and the desire and the commitment from these guys. Sorry.
Why have you not got Bayern City on? Why are you watching Middlesbrough Hull, man?
Because
the game to pick
I've got a soft spot for Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
So, but do you know what? The way they're playing is just to run rings around the way we are at the moment.
Michael Carrick, though, yeah, I mentioned him as a
He's
potential successor to Jesse ages ago, and I got absolutely battered. But you just never know. I mean, he's going
I think
somewhere.
it's Kate makes the point that it's not just the one game; it's the two games, and I do think that is something that makes everybody go, "Holy shit, we're absolutely knackered here." But when you actually look at the I'm just looking at the table now. So Everton, Forest, Leicester, and Southampton below us. Only one team out of all four of those has a win in the last 5. We've got 2 wins in the last 5. So
yeah,
we have improved since Gracia came in. We have actually won games, which is such a positive thing to have. But when you actually look below us, Everton are the only ones who have actually won a game in the last 5 games. So I do think that
and they've got Palace.
Very easy to. Yeah, it's easy to react to this. Obviously, we have to because we don't want to see our team lose 6-1 or 5-1 to a lot worse team than Liverpool, not than us. So yeah, everybody's going to be reactionary, aren't they? Everybody's going to be like, "This is terrible," but we're not. It's not over yet. We're not down yet because we're still 2 points above the drop, and we've got a couple of winnable games. I'll start panicking and sweating if we don't beat Bournemouth and Leicester.
Yeah,
do you think we beat Bournemouth?
Nah, not at the minute, bro. Do you know what as well, right? And you know how football works, right? I'm convinced that because of what happened when we won the league title. All the kicking off that it's going to be on bank holiday weekend. Leeds are going to go down there needing to get a result to stay up. And Bournemouth will beat us. And that'll be their way after getting us back after all them years.
There's loads of games after that, though, Joe.
Oh, my God.
I can't deal with that, though, because I've got that feeling. I'll be like, no.
I think the important one of these next 3 is to beat Leicester. They're the only team below us in the league of the 3.
Fair.
And I've looked at their runnings today. They're fucking awful. Excuse my French. Notts Forest have got an awful running. Everton have got an awful running. Southampton and Leicester have all got worse runnings than us on paper.
Yeah, I think Forest and Southampton.
They put the graphic of our fixtures. I was just going to say they put the graphic of our fixtures up in the second half of the game on Monday, and the commentators are like saying, where is these 9 points going to come from for Leeds? And I'm thinking you could look at all the teams and say exactly the same. Like, it's 9 points is a joke. Like, we do. It's such a cliche, but we just take it game by game. We have to just, we have to beat Leicester. That's the big one. But even if we get a point at Fulham and a point at Bournemouth and beat Leicester, that would be absolutely fantastic. We'd be in a really strong position then.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that it is Liverpool, it might just be a double blip. Again, it sounds silly, really, but it might be. We might come back and show the balls that we haven't shown, and everyone's feeling better on Sunday.
We might.
Kate, you're right.
Do you know what it is though? Like, Rocco, you're right in a sense, because like if you look at this weekend's fixtures, right? Forest have got to go to Anfield. Everton, who've Everton got now?
Palace.
Everton, Palace.
Away.
I think Southampton play City. No, Southampton play Arsenal. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then Leicester, Wolves. Like, if Wolves beat Leicester and Palace beat Everton, the other 2 you expect to win, we genuinely could lose against Fulham and we'd still be all right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we still have a 4-point cushion over Leicester. We have a 7-point cushion over Southampton, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
The most
Max.
worrying thing is if it's these next 3 games, we need to pick up points from these, because if we don't, it's then City, Newcastle, West Ham away, and Spurs. And then I think if we don't pick up, like Rocco said, how many did you say? 5 points or something from those 3. Yeah, if we don't pick up that, then I think we're down, because I can't, like, we got going away to Man City, needing a win, home to Newcastle, West Ham away, Spurs at home. Like, I think
Man City will make
to them.
The Liverpool result seem like a pretty good.
The thing is,
Pretty good result. Probably go to Man City.
In reflection, you look at that and you say going down to City for a result, but even if we pick up 3 points from the next three, you look at them teams below us and you try and determine where are they going to pick up points. There's some teams down there that have got an absolute abysmal record this season, and we're expecting them to pick up 7 more or 5 more points than us in 7 games.
What I was saying was Man City. If we manage to lose 6-1 to Man City, I think we'll be getting off lightly. Is what. I'm saying. On City, they it sounds like they're going to have a Champions League semi-final a few days after playing us, so they may play their under-18s and only beat us 7-0.
I said that.
To be fair, they've got a whole second team that's as good as the first team that they can field.
Calvin comes back to
Calvin might
header.
start, bro. Calvin might start.
Calvin's the only thing that could lose it for them, I think.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody mentioned before about gutting the squad and stuff, and I tend to get quite attached to players, especially the ones who got us promoted, and then even the ones who are in the first season. But then, you actually look at them over a long period of time now, and some of them just aren't good enough. And I think one of the reasons that we are so passive and the players give up a little bit sometimes is because of the recruitment strategy that we have praised so much over the years. And I've been one of the biggest people who's praised this, is when they go for people who they're like, their personality, they're nice, they're down to earth, they keep themselves to themselves, they're not a party animal, they're not doing anything wrong, they're not getting up to any mischief, they've got no ego. But when you have a full squad of them, then you start to say, they're all a little bit passive. But then you sign Tyler Adams, and Tyler Adams isn't really like that. He'll be a good athlete and a good professional, but he's got that dog in him, like they say. And he goes fighting players and pushing people and trying to get in the opponent's face. Whereas a lot of our players, they're just so passive and they just step away from the situation. They're not the sort of players who have they have a personality. That's not fair, but they don't have like an outwards ego or anything. And sometimes you need just a few of them.
They're too nice.
I hate them all at the minute.
They're snowflakes. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry, but they're snowflakes.
Snowflakes.
What do you mean?
They are the little snowflakes, like Aronson and
Rocco mentioned it about the challenges, man. The yellow cards thing. The mad thing is, because I remember
bring back Vinnie Jones.
No, well, I remember Jesse Marsh and that halftime team talk against Liverpool when he's going, "You're not even putting in challenges, man," and we were all like hyped up by it. But even me, who can't stand Jesse, was like, "Do you know what? We need a bit of that right now. We need Jesse sending them out like Trojans and Luke Ayling snapping Martinelli's legs in half. Do you know what I mean? We need something because at the minute, like you said, the passive nature of that squad on Tuesday is just not acceptable for me.
See, I thought we might have got that from McKennie.
Yeah,
I thought that he might have been, if anybody in that squad, to bring it and set a platform and lead by example with that squad that we had out. I thought we might have seen him, but he was a passenger.
Yeah, you need a balance, don't you, in a squad? And I think we've gone for everybody who's passive and nobody who's aggressive. And the only people that are Tyler Adams and Max Verber. And when they're not in the team, and it's not even just aggressive in the traditional sense of he'll go and start fights and all this sort of stuff. It's aggressive in the fact that, like I said before, they will just go and win the ball, and it's like the people who are a bit more passive, they think for longer about what they're about to do, which kills you sometimes. Whereas instinctively, Tyler Adams flies through someone, Max Verber just jumps and wins the ball, wins the header, like I said before the other defenders have even thought about it. And we don't you need a spine of players throughout the team who have that. I mean, even like Rodrigo, he's been excellent this season. He's scored a load of goals, but he's also very much like, I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want to, do you know what I mean? Don't want to put a foot in.
Even Bamford would have been. Even Bamford would have been putting it. He puts himself about. Liam Cooper. We have got them in a.
We need
squad,
a bit of Dan James flying through goalies and fullbacks.
At least he can't play at the weekend, by the way.
Yeah, true. No, but this is what I'm saying, though, bro. People talk about like Bamford and all that. I'd much rather have had him than Rodrigo, because Rodrigo can't do what Bamford can in that role.
No.
But people straight away go, Bamford's done. Ealing's rubbish. Liam
Rodrigo's got a great goal scoring
him.
record, but in a game that you're not expecting to score many goals, you want somebody who can put pressure on the back line and put himself, bully the centre backs a little bit, and not even bully them sometimes, just be a nuisance.
Yeah.
Just be a bit of a nuisance.
There's no bullying. There's no bullying, Luke, is there, with that lot? They're too nice.
Playing against kids.
They don't like, it's like tippy tappy football, as somebody's just said on the chat.
Like something I noticed as well was like with Rodrigo up front, there was one time where a ball early in the first half and a long clearance by Meslier up to Rodrigo, and instead of challenging for the header, he just spins his man in the hope that he was going to miss, the defender's going to miss the header, which he never was going to do. But the thing about that, apart from just not challenging, is the defender then knows that he's got it easy for the whole game. He knows that Rodrigo's not going to challenge him. Yeah. And that probably goes for the tackling side of things as well. Liverpool have got nothing to worry about. They know they're not going to get smashed. They're under no pressure. And it just... what chance have you got?
Don't you think the passivity comes from Javi's approach? He's too passive, I think. I mean, I watched his last press conference back, and he doesn't... he's wriggling out of saying anything virtually. He comes out with the same old lines, and quite frankly, I don't even know why he bothers turning up. You know what I mean? I think.
Are you that?
He doesn't say anything. Do you learn anything?
I like that about him.
I like that about him in terms of he doesn't give away injury news and stuff like that. But he's so passive.
Yeah, I suppose.
Need a bit of like.
Do you think his missus does him?
But you what, Luke?
Do you think his missus does him?
Allegedly.
Is that what you're trying to say, Kate?
No, I'd never say anything like that. I just think he's like passive.
Yeah, passive.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's submissive. He goes home and he's like straight chained to the back of the bed and that.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
The thing is, you can play like that, but within the constraints of that system, you can still be aggressive, and because it's not just completely letting them have the ball altogether. It's they let them have the ball with their centre backs and their full backs, because in this way of playing football, the theory is there's no danger that's going to come from that. The only thing that they can do is try and send it over the top of us, and then we've got our centre backs who can head that away. And so when we're playing the mid block, when the ball comes into the midfield, then we should be attacking them and we should be putting that pressure on. And that's why when we look like we're playing a 4-4-2 when we're in defensive phases, when they have the ball, because Aronson almost goes up alongside Bamford and creates a second striker, but he's not actually a striker. It's just to sit in there. When the ball comes into that midfield, that's when we should be on them and pouncing and being aggressive. But a lot of the stuff that we see is players getting there too late, being bypassed, the ball going round them, and then, like somebody said in the comments before, then they don't get back. Then it's that not having that desire to make that recovery run. When under Bielsa, there was that time in the Championship, everybody highlighted it, where we lost the ball, and within 5 seconds, there were 4 Leeds players around one. I think it might have been a Derby player. There was 4 Leeds players around the opposition player, and we just tackled him, got the ball, and went again. And it's like
it was Wigan, Josh Windass, I think. I remember.
Was it?
Just that sea of white
About
shirt.
7 of them.
Yeah, and but this is what I'm saying about having players with a bit of fucking bite. What pisses me off is you've got Robin Koch and his agent twerking for Newcastle and Tottenham and all this sort of stuff, and then he's putting out shower of shite performances like that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not. You've got McKennie and his clown mate on social media telling everyone he don't want to be here and all that. Well, if they don't want to be here, do one. Like I'm done with this group of players, to be honest. The only ones that I care for now is Ealing and Cooper. Bamford I still really like, but I just don't think he's got it long term. I think he needs to go in the summer or at least buy someone else. But I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's. Are there any positives going into Saturday? Is there anything? Because for me at the minute, I'm like I'm just going to turn up, you know what I mean, and watch and see. Whereas before I was like, oh, you know what? Even when we got spanked by Palace, I was thinking we could get a point against Liverpool. Other teams have. Now I literally don't know what Leeds are going to turn up on Saturday. I genuinely don't have a Scooby-Doo.
I think the only positive for me is that it can't get much worse than the results that we've
true.
recently seen. Do you know what I mean? Even if we go down to Fulham, I'm half expecting us to get beaten anyway at Fulham. I think they play quite well. I know they've got Mitrovic out, but they are in the table because they're warranted to be there in the table over the majority of the season. They're a better footballing side than us, and we're playing them away from home. The result, you know, you look at it on paper, Leeds, Fulham. You think you go down there, you should be coming back with at the very least a point. But the realism is, we're not at that level this season. They are. We should.
Everton played better last week, didn't they? Than we played this week. Everton played better last weekend.
I've just realised when we played Fulham in the cup, it was the same again. We started brilliant. We were really good, and then they scored out of nothing, and we were absolutely useless thereafter.
2 belters though, that wasn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, the good thing about that game was it was it his first game or his second game?
It was the second game. Second half we did nothing, but the first half we dominated. We were playing lovely stuff. We were organised. We looked by far the better
even though we weren't great going forward in the second half, we limited them so much in terms of shooting opportunities, and they just scored 2 absolute screamers from outside the box, and that was the difference on the day. I think on another day that could have gone the other way. I think the positive, let's spin it like this then. The positive to take for this weekend is we played them before in the cup with Javi, and we were successful and effective in limiting the amount of opportunities they had and limiting them to long shots. They might do, but it's hard for them to score from that distance compared to chances in the box. If we can be as compact as we were in that game, then we've got a chance if we limit the amount of chances they have. And if they haven't got Mitrovic, and they haven't obviously got Dan James, with obviously we know what he's about, but his pace is ridiculous, and our defense is not fast. So it's a good thing that he can't play as well. I'm just going to say lightning doesn't strike thrice because it has struck twice.
I went to Fulham. I went to the cup game at Fulham, and I couldn't believe we'd come away from that game losing. And I've just checked the stats now, and we had 16 shots to their 7 in that game, and 6 on target to their 3. We dominated that game against them, especially towards the end of that second half. All the ball was in their final third. We had so many chances in that game; it was unbelievable. So yeah, that I suppose that is a positive we can take into it, that we have got their number. They'll know that they were in for a tough game last time we played them down there. But ultimately, when it comes down to the Premier League and where we are, they've deserved to be where they are in the league, and we deserve to be where we are.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get some score predictions for the weekend. Rocco, I'll start with you, mate.
Oh God! Well, I'm just gonna say that we're gonna win 2-1 because I can't imagine anything else.
Wow,
2-1 win. Come on, Leeds.
Come on, Leeds. Kate.
Oh God. Well, I never predict that I never actually say we're going to lose. So I'm going to go draw. Draw 1-1.
Oh yeah, 1-1. Okay. Max.
I think it might be a little bit of a repeat of the Forest game, not in terms of how bad they were, but I think we might go a goal down and come back and win. And that winning a game like that could be the mental push that we need to carry on into
turning point.
We've gone a goal down and we still won. We can stay up this season. I'm hoping it might pan out like that, because I definitely think we'll concede at some point.
Yeah, we can't keep a clean sheet for Toffee.
God forbid we have a clean sheet. Yeah.
Listen, at the minute, all you have to do is get a shot on target, and Melia just jumps past it at the minute, to be fair. So
I think Liverpool had 7 shots on target, 6 goals.
Yeah, I think the last 11 shots he's faced have all been goals, I think, maybe. I don't know. Luke?
I feel feeling we get beat, but I also think that there's an opportunity for us to go get a point. But I expect to be quite a few goals. I'm going to go 2-2.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset. I mean, I wouldn't be all. I want a draw at the very least, but I'm sort of I'm prepared for a loss as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How big a loss are you prepared for, Luke?
Look, I said this exactly the same before the Liverpool game came. After that, I wanted to see a reaction and I wanted to see something that made me believe. And if I can see that and see the players running for the manager, running for each other, I don't care on the scoreline. I don't suppose.
Did you see that in the Liverpool game though?
I would say probably for the first half an hour.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that and that's good enough? Is it?
No, absolutely not. But that's where I think that going back to where we started tonight, where we're missing the leaders, where we're missing the people who to stand up and say, "Come on, lads, it's fine. We can."
The best we can
2-1,
expect.
at 2-1, we're back in the game. You know, on another day, with 2-1, we're back in that game, and then we just crumble due to lack of leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I just don't know anymore. I genuinely don't know. I'm really shitting myself now for these next 3, whereas after Forest I was so confident, and I just don't know anymore. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. If we win, I'll be.
I think we were 20-1 to go down after Forest. We're now 5-2, which is still a lot better odds. The bookies still really fancy us to stay up in comparison to everyone else below us. By the way.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
So who's put a bet on then? Anybody here put a bet on? Have you?
Yeah, I've got us to go down. I'll win.
You've got to go down.
Yeah,
I had 100 quid at 5-2.
I love that. I love that.
100 quid.
Did you? Oh wow, yeah, fair play.
100 quid at 5-2.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because if we stay up, it's the best 100 quid I've ever spent. And if we go down, they can pay for me to drown my sorrows for a night.
Yeah, fair.
350 quid I get back.
If we, do you know what as well? Like genuinely the other day, Jason asked, "Would you take Jesse back now?" Sorry, I miss this. Never in a million years is the reason we're there. When it came out that Radrazani will lose like 300 or 400 million if we go down in terms of the sale price, and I just went, do you know what? That'll be my one like happy thing. That, you know what? Yeah, fuming we've gone down, but you not getting jack compared to what you should have. You Italian bogey eating knob. You know what I mean? Yeah, nothing against Italians, by the way. Just,
all bogeys.
Yeah, all bogeys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we move.
We'll be back next week anyway, in the same position, either in a really positive spirit or a really even shitter mood.
So, like Sunday night, we'll be like that. Yes, all those below us would have lost. We'd have beat Fulham, and we'll be going, let's go. Yeah, man, we'll do it. Anyway, listen, folks, smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channels, mine and the rest of the gang, and listen to the Leeds That Pod. Yeah, I forgot what else.
Is it on Spotify, Rocco? Because I've searched for it. Is it on Spotify?
I don't think it is on Spotify. I think it's on all the others. Apple. I listen on Apple.
I'll send you the link, Kate. It's really good. Yeah. I think that's it. I think we're covered. Make sure you follow everyone, and we'll be back next Sunday, 8:00. Hopefully, celebrating a Leeds United win and a good weekend, because that 12:30 kickoff has the chance to just ruin it all, doesn't it? Burn it down if we lose. Burn it all down. Right. We'll see you on the other side. Bye, folks.